Hello everyone, it's Laura. Thank you so much for joining me again for another video, another retro video today. So you're gonna watch as I sketch this photograph of this woman. Looks like from a Sears catalog. Or it could be from Vogue or Harper's Bazaar, or any of those other fun magazines or catalogs from the time. Fun 1960s look. On this channel, I really want to highlight all these photographs from a bygone era. All these beloved outfits, designs, colors, all these things that we loved seeing as kids. I wasn't born in the 60s, I was born in the 70s, but seeing these old photographs, I just absolutely love sketching and drawing and really creating with any sort of fine art something that's old, whether it be still life or any objects you have in your home or photographs. I think they just celebrate the time and celebrate those beloved images. So as I work, you're going to see that I'm going to keep this sketch very, very loose. Also, because I'm going to be covering this up a lot with other colors, I really didn't want to get too heavy with the graphite. All right, so that is pretty much enough for the pencil. Let's have some fun. Okay, so these are Dr. P.H. Martin's concentrated watercolors. I used these in art school back 30 years ago, and I love them. So we're going to start with some persimmon tones, some warm tones. Looking at this photo reference, we're going to start off with some warm lemon yellows. This is going to be fun. So I'm just using the dropper and just dripping colors, streaking, just letting it drip, letting it just glide across the paper, watching how the colors meld together. So I took this Kolinsky brush, and it's just a simple round, and what I did was I took the colors that were dripping. My drawing table's on an angle, about a 15-degree angle, and so I wanted to catch some of the drips before they went off the sketchbook and onto the table. So it also kind of blended out some of the colors a little bit, and I really liked the way that looked. All right, so I have a few colors on here right now, and I think I'm gonna stop with this. I like the way it's bursting. I like the way that the colors are running and bleeding into each other. I wanted to make sure that this first layer was completely dry. The way Dr. P.H. Martin's concentrated watercolors work, once they're down, they're down. So you cannot relift them. And I love that about them. So this is why I chose to use them for my first layer. So I'm going to add some gouache in over the top right now. And I'm using Winsor & Newton Designer's Gouache. I've used Winsor & Newton's for 30 years, and I absolutely love their gouache line. So I'm keeping these gouache layers very transparent. I'm using lots of water. I'm making sure that I blend out the colors. And I chose the wrong brush for this. It was the one that I had used to get the streaks when I was using the concentrated watercolor. It worked great for that, but not so much for this. This paintbrush was good. It's a Kolinsky number 4. It's a great size, but not for this. So I'm using the burgundies and greens and blues to put into her hat because that hat does have a range of values in it. And when I lay the watercolor on top of the gouache later, you'll be able to see a nice range of rich color over the top. Okay, third layer complete. I've got some gouache down. You can see definitely the Winsor & Newton gouache covers over really nice over the top of the Dr. P.H. Martin's liquid concentrate. I love how you can see the streaking through the gouache. Now, the gouache has that chalky feel to it that makes the gouache very flat. So with the gouache being very flat, you can add the watercolor over the top when the gouache is really dry, and you'd be able to see the colors through the watercolor, and you'll have an extra element of dimension and richness to the illustration. I often use gouache under a lot of my watercolor paintings. Now, it's interchangeable. You can do the same thing backwards, but for here, I chose to use the gouache underneath first, and then the watercolor over the top. You can toggle either way. They're very interchangeable. So this illustration is very playful. It's very fun. Using the back of my hand to check to make sure that this layer of gouache is dry before I start the next layer. I want to use the back of my hand to check for dampness, and it's dry on the back here too, nothing bled through. excellent. I can't believe I just used the word excellent. That's such a 90s thing to say, but I'm leaving it in because it's funny. Okay, so right here we are looking at all these transparent lines coming through. I like the way that the colors melded together. You can see underneath the gouache very, very well. So far, we've got 3 layers on. We've got graphite, the Dr. P.H. Martin's liquid watercolors, and we've got our Winsor Newton gouache. I like the way this bottom is. I absolutely love it. And even like looking at it close up in the light, you can see the way all these colors are interacting. All right, time to choose a new brush. I really had it with that other brush. Right now I'm going to choose the number 6 Princeton Heritage Round. Has an excellent spring to it, and the bristles hold together really, really well. All right, time for some new paint. I need to add some of this into my tray. Yeah, don't cringe looking at this. This is the way I work. All my palettes look like this. I have a really hard time rinsing my palettes. I've always been this way. All right, so let's fill this paint well, and I'll explain to you why I love this new paint. Look at this. Daniel Smith. I know I use a lot of Winsor Newton, but Daniel Smith is kind of coming into play a little bit more with me, and I can interchange both of them. So why don't I clean my palettes? All right, here's why. Watercolor and paint in general, especially the fine artist quality, it's just very expensive, and I don't want to waste it. I also, the way I mix colors and the way I paint, I often use colors from project to project. So if there's color laying on my palette in one of the wells, I'll often mix that with another color and just keep going, but with a different painting. So I get the most out of my paint without wasting it. All right, so now I'm adding in this watercolor, and like I said, most of it is Winsor Newton. There is some Daniel Smith added in. I did do a swatch in my sketchbook. I did swatch these. I can list the colors in the information below for you. So I'm just adding in some cool blues. This painting sketch is primarily, it's all warm colors, and adding some cool in with the warm can kind of balance it out just a little bit. So I've got some Naples yellow and some buff on my paintbrush. I'm adding in just almost like a frosted covering to her facial area and her ear. And that's gonna help balance out some of the colors following when we get to the next layer. So her outfit from the 1960s is so typical of what you would see fashion-wise, maybe in the cities like New York City or London or Paris. You can see a glimpse of my phone as I'm working, but it's like very mod. It's very like up and coming, trendy. The colors, the burnt orange, I absolutely love that color vibe that she's got. Again, like I said, the hat just really pushed me right over to use that as a photo reference. I absolutely love it. Her outfit looks like it's tweed or some sort of maybe a wool blend that has a pattern woven into it. So this panel that I'm adding that burnt orange color into, that panel behind her just kind of pushes the background back a little bit and brings her forward. So this is Buff by Winsor and Newton, and that's Naples Yellow. And again, this provides a good frosted area for the next layer. So it will make the next layer pop a little bit. Yay, it is color pencil time. This little container that I have, I think I got it at TJ Maxx or Marshall's. And it's great for organizing my pencils. I can keep all my warm color tones in the first bay, and the second bay I'll keep my cool color tones, and then the last number three, I think it is, the third bay, I have my neutrals. So this is how I organize them into how I use them, if that makes sense. All my supplies that I'm using, I'll have listed below for you. So I just want to show you, I've got my color pencil tip to burnish down just a little bit. I'm going to grab another one, same color, and I am going to go on the tippy toe of the pencil to get a nice, fine, sharp, scumbling point. So I'm going to keep building up layers with different colors and different values in her face.
Splice Originals.
I love these reds. They go on just like buttery lipstick. right, so I've added in a lot of layers, including layers in her eyes and mouth, and just adding a little bit of highlights here and there. And I'm constantly going back and forth with my light values and my dark values to double check, because sometimes when you add a color, say you add a light color, it makes everything else look extremely dark against it. So you'll want to go back in and add a darker color to the area you just lightened up. So it's kind of one of those push and pull type things, as you notice with other paints and other materials like the color pencils. So it's not always a precise formula. It's very organic in how you choose your colors. Some people say there's right and wrong way to start. Well, that is true, but you also have to use your artist's intuition and navigate those times where you're kind of pushing and pulling and adding in lights against darks and darks against lights, because sometimes they behave differently, and the colors will behave differently next to each other. So you're constantly reanalyzing your colors in the composition. So I'm just finishing up some dark tones in her hat, the stitching, and a little bit of the detail work. I am just about done. I've so enjoyed doing this for you. I'm adding a colored pencil border. I think this might be black, just to give it some scratchy, rough drawing texture type bordered outline with the around the composition, just to give it a little bit of a, I don't know, needed something at the top, I guess. So I'm just adding in a little bit more of this background. I felt like her sweater, her dress, was blending in a little bit too much with that panel in the background. So I wanted to give the burnt orange area a little bit more of a solid definition and crisp up the edge between her dress, her sweater, and that panel to kind of give more of a separation between the two of them. And just like that, that's it. We're done. Look at this. I had so much fun with this 5 mixed mediums project. I hope you try this. If you don't have all the supplies, it's okay. Grab your own supplies, mix them up, add them in wherever you think would make a great design. And even if it doesn't, you're still playing and you're still learning the way the mediums behave with each other. Until next time, like and subscribe, and I would love to hear your comments. I would love to hear your feedback, good or helpful. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.